In this problem, we need to use the vertex and intercepts to sketch the graph of the quadratic function. And to be honest, I don't know that this is 100% correct. We'll be using the vertex. I don't think we do use the intercepts, but what we're going to do is we're going to access the graphing tool by clicking on the magnifying icon over here. So I click there, and let's see. And now I'm looking at the graphing tool. Now at this point, what I need to do is select the parabola. And this is a parabola. Now this is also a parabola. It's a sideways parabola though. That's not a function. You'll use that in pre-calculus, but for now we're just looking at regular function type parabolas. So we're going to choose this parabola icon here, and you click on that, and then you'll click on your graph in order to place your parabola here. And this is where we use the vertex. So let's take a look. Okay, so I have selected my parabola tool, and I have placed my parabola, kind of, on the graph. Now we're graphing f of x equals 2 times the quantity x plus 1 squared minus 1. All right, so when I place this, I know that my vertex is going to be at the point where x equals -1 and y equals -1. And how do I know this? Well, let's take a look. So we have 2 times x plus 1 quantity squared. So what I do to find the x value of my vertex is I take this x plus 1. I'm going to take that off to the side. I'm going to zoom out here just real quick. And I take that x plus 1 equals 0. Actually, I zoomed in, right? And subtract 1 from both sides, and I get x equals -1. So that is the x value of the vertex. Now, how do I find the y value? Let's come back over here. So what I look at for the y value is just what value is added on the end. And in this case, it's subtracting a 1 or adding a -1. So that's the y value. And so that's how I know it's -1, -1. So I have that point graphed here, and that's where my vertex is, so that's where I want this point specifically. So if we had said 2, -1 would have the point here, that wouldn't work for this because the vertex, you can see, is a little larger. So it would have to be moved over here in order to do that. All right, so now it's looking like a straight line, but we know that it's supposed to curve upwards. So it says, click the graph to plot a point on your parabola. So I need to find a second point. I already have one point, which is the vertex. So now I need a second point. Now here, we still have f of x equals 2 times the quantity x plus 1 squared minus 1. So how do I find another point on the parabola? I need to find a point somewhere along this parabola. So how do I go about doing that? What I'll do is I will plug in some value for x, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in x equals 0 and see what the y value is in that case. So if I find f of 0, that's 2 times 0 plus 1 squared minus 1, and that equals, let's see, 1 squared, that's 2. 2 minus 1 is a positive 1. So that means that I have a point here at x equals 0 and y equals positive 1. So I can just go ahead and click that point, and the computer will automatically fill in the rest of your parabola for you, because those 2 points will determine the rest of the parabola. All right, so now what do I do? Okay, well, we're done. You just exit out of there. And so you can see we have the vertex and it said intercepts. We didn't use, well, I did. I used a y-intercept, but I didn't have to. I could have plugged in a value for x where x was 1. That would have been totally fine. Easy enough. I just picked 0 because it was an easy number. So you don't have to use an intercept there, and obviously the computer's not even going to know the difference. So you just go ahead and click OK or whatever it was that they want you to click, and that's the end of how to do that problem.